Hey gang, welcome back to part 2 of the HB Toys R1001 video. In the last video we had an issue with the receiver, and good to know I let the receiver dry out for 2 days, plugged it back in, and it's functioning again, so I'm not going to have to replace the receiver. In the last video we replaced the Hobbywing 1060 for a Hobbywing 1080. That's installed, all working properly. And in this video, we're going to replace the servo with a 35 kg high torque servo. And in addition to that, we're going to replace the wheels and tires with these JConcepts Ruptures, the Injora silicone inserts, and these Amazon special metal beadlocks. My only concern with replacing these tires is you already have an issue of space here, and these ones are just a little bit taller, but we'll try it out and see how it goes. I mean, they definitely look better and they're going to function better. Just the clearance is really the only concern. And then after that, we're going to add some scale details, and then we're going to test the changes and see how it works. If you can like and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. If not a big deal. Let's dig into it. Okay, first off, to get to the servo, you need to remove this cross member from the front here, which is also going to be true if you need to get to the motor. To replace the motor, you're going to have to remove this cross member and then probably remove the servo as well. But it's pretty straightforward, it's just 2 screws. Alright, let's get the servo out. Actually, before we replace the servo, let's take a quick look at what how it functions now. We're just going to grab this tire pretty firmly and steer and see what kind we get. It seems to go okay when you're steering away, but in is where you really lose it. So we'll see if it makes a difference with a different servo. Alright, steering servo is replaced. A couple of things to note. The servo horn that came on the original servo is actually really good, strong metal, so you could just reuse that because you know it's going to fit. Secondly, if you've never replaced a servo before, just keep in mind that you want to hook all the electronics up, turn the car on, try to get the servo to center itself before you attach the horn and the steering linkage. That way it gets as straight as possible and you have to do the least amount of steering trim. I had to do a little bit, but it's not much. So it's actually much less than I expected. So we'll turn this back on and then we'll see what kind of difference we get. So it's a pretty good grip, same as last time. You see I'm actually getting turned both way. Throws pretty good on it. Definitely better than the other one, and it's a really inexpensive upgrade. It's like 20 bucks. You can get them for cheaper than that. Link in the description if you want to check them out. But yeah, for $20, and you have a servo that you feel is underperforming, it's definitely an easy and inexpensive upgrade to do. Now, I'm going to move on to the tires, but before I actually put them on, I'm going to check the portal axles and make sure they're actually greased, because I haven't done that yet. So we'll have a look. All right, pulled the portal cover off, and there was an attempt was made. You can see grease here along the outside. I'm not sure how that's very beneficial. But there really isn't much grease in there at all, not enough that I'm comfortable with. So we're gonna have to pull the covers off all of the portal axles and grease them up. Just keep in mind, if you do decide to get this vehicle, it's a good idea to grease your portal axles. Makes me concerned about the motor as well. Alright, I went through all of the portal axles and they were all pretty much in the same condition as the first, with one having just a little more grease than the others. Still, I don't think it was enough. I'm not comfortable with it having that tiny amount, so I just added a little more to each of them. So let's get these JConcepts Ruptures mounted up and we'll see what she looks like then. Alright gang, you know I'm never going to BS you, and I have absolutely zero faith in these beadlocks. They're not even that heavy, and it's almost as if they're just a little too small, but I've measured the diameter and it's the same as the Treals that I normally use. But no matter what I did, I mounted like 4 different times, and maybe I was doing something wrong, which is totally possible. But I was always able to pull the bead out with just a little bit of pressure. So I went with a set of Treals I had laying around. I know the color scheme doesn't match. Definitely stands out. So I don't know if they're, from a look perspective, how it looks. You can provide me with feedback. You know, let me know. Does it look terrible? Would you swap them out with like all solid black? Is it fine? Is it nothing to worry about? I'd appreciate that. These Treals are really heavy, and this added a lot of weight to the vehicle. So before we move on, I'm going to check the diffs to see if they're actually lubed or have any kind of grease in them at all. All right, so they're off, and there is a dollop of grease over here. That's not incredibly helpful. So we're gonna grease this one up, pull the front one off. It should be the same. Grease that one up, get them back together. All right, there actually was less in the front than it was in the rear. Like I said, there is some in there. I think it's under greased. I think you should probably grease it if you care about the longevity of it. If you're wondering if the TRX4 RC four-wheel drive ARB diff covers fit, the answer is yes. If you're wondering if the Bronco 3D printed grille fits, the answer is yes. You can paint that white. Just be aware that when you replace it, you have this gap here that is not covered. There actually is this little piece here that covers it, but on this 3D printed replacement, it does not. Also, you can add your own Ford logo. And now looking at this, I don't know. Does it look like HB Toys, or does it look like a TRX4? Again, I've never owned a TRX4, so I want to take it outside and I'm going to test the steering servo exactly how we did the last time and see if there's a noticeable difference. Okay, so from that little test, what I noticed is slow crawl is incredibly better now. You don't get the lurch forward. You just pull it, it goes. Tires make a huge difference. They're gripping way better. As far as the servo goes, it's noticeably different, but it's not a huge difference. So I think the problem actually lies within my test. It may be too difficult. So I may need to find something a little better where I can actually see a difference between a 3 kg and a 35 kg. Normally I would do running footage, but this video is too long and nobody watches to the end anyways, except for me. So thank you, Corey from YRC, for watching. Next video we'll be running this, and then we're gonna do the HB Toys R1011, the Wrangler. I have it in the other room. See ya.